Now, you notice that the parts end crossed. Did you notice that? You notice that we were singing alto. Right? You see that? And in fact, they cross for a majority of the time. Now, part of this is based on the imitative structure that Tallis usually employs. Right? You see that you have these leaps of fourths that happen imitatively. And then finally, the last leap usually is a leap of a fifth. And it just goes one step beyond. All right? Track it from, let's say, measure 27. All right? First subject in the bass. At the same time, alto. And then soprano. Alright, so leap of a fifth instead of a fourth. Maybe give you some ideas about in fugal writing the difference between tonal and real answers. This is usually, in my estimation, where this comes from. Right? The fact that when you leap a fifth, you land on the dominant instead of on the subdominant. So it brings you back into the original key. Right, rather than lead you further astray down the circle of fifths in the flat direction. That makes sense to everybody? Stop me if you have questions if I'm way too fast. Now, I put some nice big arrows on measure 17. You see that? And I can't really remember why I did it, but we're going to figure it out together. The chord's there, if you just play them real quick. 6/4. That's a 6/4, oh, this one. How do you explain that one? What's the functionality of that triad? Well, it's a dominant of the original key. We're in Fa. Are we in Fa? Are we in Fa? No. That's hard to say. I don't see any accidentals. Right. Alright, I don't see any accidentals, so maybe. We're either in Fa or in Re now. But let's hear it one more time.
Just a 6/4 before we imply that we're in Fa.
Yeah, the 6/4 sure sounds like we're in Fa. Double Fa. We'll get the 6/4s to look like. That's the first one that strikes me as quite odd. Alright, then open. And there's our modulation. I would put to you, theoretically, and actually I don't even like the word theoretically, I put to you actually, right, in practice, that the doubling of that do chord, it's the do first version triad, right, with two soles, which is unusual. It functions neither in Fa or in Re, right, with two soles, double. If it's a dominant of Fa, it should have a do double, right, strongest note in the chord. Is it functional in Re minor? Not really, it's a 7 chord. It would be functional if it had a ficto on it, by the way. You're going to laugh when I play this, but if I did this, then it's functional.
Then it's barbershop.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then actually what's funny about it is the doubling is correct if you do that, which is another interesting point. But the doubling of the soul there anticipates the modulation. Soul. All right. Same souls. So again, another example like I showed you at the beginning, where the doubling really decides a great deal of what we're actually, where we're moving, where we're going. When you analyze music harmonically, which is something that I hate to use those words in the same sense, analysis and harmony, but when you do it, these are the things which are really functional, which most people miss because they're not really listening to each line. They're just listening to the way the triad's stacked up and you take that out of context. All right? Never forget that context is everything in music. So syntax is another story. That's for our brains. That's for those of us who like Sudoku, which I like. But that has something to do with it. Right? Context is what we're interested in. Good. Everybody can pull out of this if you don't have a copy of it. You can keep it and enjoy it. It's a piece that I always come back to year after year. I find it great. Now, here's what I like to do with our harmony proper. It's in the wrong key, by the way. It should be lower. The original key is E flat, but it's easier to sing in Fa. I think the original key is in Fa.
It's one of the few pieces required in Fa that I think, like, it's an awkward key to sing in.
Right, no minor, sure.
But it works perfectly fine in Fa.
That's, yeah,
actually better than its original key, as you say.
No, I was curious. So here's what I'd like to do, my friends. We had Vidal 33, nice and pretty and beautiful last time, right? At least in theory. So what I'd like to do is sing through a little bit of that. Hit our last sequences, of which I'm going to do the Nermoff Boulanger sequence, as well as the sevenths and ninths, so we can sing in true Frank style. 1, or 3, 4. Not bad, not bad. Let's go one step back, because I didn't feel like our altos and tenors were very participatory, very giving with their music. We're going to remedy that. First, everyone on soprano, huh? Let's make sure we all know what we're doing. This you should have very well in mind at this point, right? You're all looking at just the bases, right? You're not cheating, looking at the realizations. Good. You can never tell with these body habits. All right, ready? 2, 3, and...
Sol, mi, re, mi, do.